Hello and welcome to Sim Radio here on the Sisters in Music Network. It's Monday Music Madness and you're tuned in to Mixing It with Nicki Kris. This is Nicki, and in case you don't know anything about me, I'm a singer-songwriter from Raleigh, North Carolina. My show celebrates women and men in the music and entertainment industry, providing an avenue for them to showcase their talent. Our motto, Sisters in Music, together we are stronger. We have a super treat today. This is our 2021 Father's Day special. And my guest today is a multi-award-winning, Billboard charting, largely self-taught musician. He has a fearless, unapologetic approach to music that results in an electrifying combination of orchestra, rock, EDM, and piano. The end result is an epic, cinematic vibe that evokes a variety of emotions. Please join me in welcoming the amazingly talented and my wonderful friend, Kitt Wakeley. Kitt, welcome to Mixing It.
Oh, thank you so much. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be on with you. Honestly, watched everything on social media, and you talked about the show, so I'm glad I get to be a part of it.
Well, we are going to dive right into it because we have a lot to talk about because you have a brand new album out, Symphony of Sinners and Saints, and it's just killing it. I know the first three singles, number one on Billboard, so amazing. I'm so proud of you. Massive congratulations. It seems to be like an epic ride right now. I can't wait to see how far this goes. So what inspired this album?
You know, it was time to write another project after the first one, Midnight Macedonia. I wanted to do something bigger and better, you know, to build on that momentum. And so I just felt like, okay, where's the best studio? Who's bigger and better than the Macedonian Orchestra? And, of course, the London Philharmonic comes to mind really quick. So those were more goal-oriented for the project. And then COVID sits in, and I was halfway through the project. And so COVID gave me a chance to really get really nitpicky about the project. And as far as inspiration, I'm always singing into my iPhone memos, and that's where it all starts.
That's awesome. I know you mentioned COVID, and I know you mentioned the London Philharmonic. So a couple additional questions I have on the release is, where was it recorded?
Yeah, it was recorded in London at Abbey Road. Most people are familiar with it through probably the Beatles is the first thing that comes to mind, but everything from Rolling Stones, I mean, the most Elton John, then the London Philharmonic is noted for everything from Harry Potter, recording that there, Star Wars score there. So a lot of big epic movie scores are recorded there. So it just seemed like a natural fit to record an epic album there.
And what was most challenging about it? I mean, obviously COVID, people couldn't get together. What was the most challenging aspect for you for this release?
The most challenging part was the constant delays. Because of COVID, we had to push back the recording by 2 or 3 months. Because of COVID, I couldn't get certain things done in a timely fashion. And I wanted to make sure I got the album out in 2021. So overall, it was just that whole hurry up and wait process.
And were there any other people involved in the writing, recording, or producing of the songs?
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about this the other night during the performance. There were actually 160 people that participated directly in the album from 4 different countries. But the most notable, of course, is a really famous guitarist named Andy Simmons. There's another gentleman that's even more notable, I guess, by Joe Satriani. And, of course, you have the world-famous orchestra and then London Voices. Trey Nagella is a 3-time Grammy-winning producer. He co-produced it with me. So I felt like we brought in some really top-notch talent to put it together.
Yes, I definitely think so. And I know that a lot of those individuals are listed out on your website so people can learn more about who participated on the album. And it's absolutely breathtakingly brilliant. And I don't just say that because we're friends. I am a huge fan, and even if I didn't know you personally, I would be a huge fan of this album because it is killer. I can't say enough good things about it. And I obviously am going to be playing a couple songs from it, but I do know that you also work with, what was that?
Can I blush over?
Can you blush? Yes, you can blush.
Coming from you, Miss Nicki, I'll take those kudos all day. That'll last a while.
You're too sweet. You're too sweet. I know you write, but you also work with other artists. Do you enjoy doing recording and production for other artists as well, or do you prefer to do them for yourself?
I love both. I love being able to, especially if it's a true collaborative effort on the producing. So, yeah, I do get pretty jazzed about that. It's a nice break from my personal projects. And sometimes you need that from your personal projects just to get a fresh perspective when you come back. But I like them equally. I do like the self-satisfaction of my own projects, of, I can't say success, but just the affirmation that people like it. You know, that's always refreshing.
Yes, I certainly can relate to that. Certainly can do so. So I would like you to tell us about Conflicted before we pop that in for everyone. So this was the first Billboard #1 single off the album. So tell us about Conflicted. What was it inspired by? What is it about?
It's hard to explain sometimes instrumentals, but I was very specific on every song on the album because of the theme of Sinners and Saints. And this one, if you listen to it, it's got a lot of uplifting parts, but it's got a lot of sinister parts underneath. It's exactly that, Conflicted. And the title itself is reflective of Sinners and Saints. Like every title on the album, it just kind of goes back and forth. And without sounding too much like an artist, as I hold up the quotation marks, it's just kind of my own thing, too. Am I a good person or am I bad? Do my transgressions outweigh the good? Am I worthy? So that's really where that comes from. And I truly did seek out Joe Satriani to play on this one, because his playing is so clean, he's so creative, but I also know his style, so I knew that he could bring that other element to the dark part of the song. So I think that pretty much encompasses, the whole vibe of where I came from on this one.
Yep, I would definitely agree, and I think Joe's guitar playing on this is top-notch, so we are going to pop this in for our listeners. Here is Conflicted off the Sinners and Saints album by Kitt Wakeley. love that song. I actually love every song on the album. I can't even say I have a favorite at this point because the whole album flows. I think you put and I know you probably did. You put a ton of thought into ensuring that you had a very processed theme throughout the entire album, at least from my perspective. I'm not big on that. I've never really focused on themes for my albums. I've always just kind of said, well, this is the song that I want to put on it. I've never really gone into deep with ensuring that there was a specific theme. Is that important to you when you're putting together an album?
It wasn't so much on Midnight Macedonia, the previous album. Yes, I wanted a common theme about, the common vibe and that epic cinematic sound on every song. But this one really was a self-reflective album, and so it did have a purposeful theme. But I think that helps drive the songs. It helps make you pay attention. Okay, is this got the same detail as the one prior? Did I cover all the elements that I did in the prior song? So I think having the theme just created the momentum to make sure I had the same approach on every song.
Yeah, I know you've definitely done it because it just tells a story from start to end. So I definitely think you've encompassed that. How old were you when you started writing music?
I must have been 15, 16 years old, because I remember my first song I ever had on the radio, as far as like where I'm from, they picked it up for some reason. So I was 17 when I had my first song on the radio. Of course, that never really went anywhere, but I sure thought so at the time. And
were you just doing instrumentals, or were you also doing vocal composition as well?
We're all singer-songwriter songs. So, yeah, it was with a band. I would write them, and I was blessed to have really good musicians around me that made me sound really good. So I played with other years.
Oh, my gosh, I'm going to have to look those up. Ladies and gentlemen, go find some old Kitt Wakeley. Let's do it. Let's do it.
One of the older tunes is on Spotify or some of the DSPs now with Bree. I just did that one. I thought, let's pull up an old one from way, way back just to see what it sounded like in a modern vibe.
Obviously, songwriters, composers, we evolve over time. So do you think that your writing has evolved since you first started?
Oh, wow, yeah. I come from the 3-chord song to the 4-chord song to adding some sevenths and some other flavors of the sixth. And you're in cover bands for so long that you learn so many different songs and their progressions. So, yeah, in fact, even the writing from the previous album, Midnight Macedonia, to this one, Sinners and Saints, is significantly better on a number of levels. So, yeah, I think we all grow every time we do a project. We learn so much.
I would certainly agree with that. And I'm interested to hear who some of your main influences are. I mean, a lot of us get inspired by different artists and the type of music that we listen to. Is there anyone in particular that you feel has influenced you in some way?
It's hard. When you're playing in cover bands, I don't know, you have a lot of experience as an entertainer. You get to play a lot of really cool songs. So they all have some role. Michael Jackson versus a Motley Crue versus, a Hans Zimmer or John Williams. I mean, they all played a role.
Yeah, I can definitely say I agree with you on that. I mean, obviously I'm influenced hugely by Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, but even Madonna, Michael Jackson, and even people today. Like I listen to 30 Seconds to Mars is one of my hugest influences lately. And even listening to your music or music of some of our friends that we both know, I get influenced by the work that they're doing as well, and kind of take and say, oh, wow, I never thought of doing that. Maybe I should try that the next time. So I can certainly relate that, especially doing like cover songs and things like that. You kind of get a mishmash of various different types of influences. Certainly can. One of the questions that I ask everyone who is a songwriter, composer who comes on my show is any songwriting or composing tips that you would like to share with our budding songwriters or composers out there?
Oh, wow. An esoteric philosophical question, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
As far as the mechanics, we're all going to have our approach. I always start with what I feel like is going to be the big, impactful, part of the song, and I just stack tracks, so I feel like this powerful sound. Now, again, mechanically, how am I going to where am I going to take the listener? Because I always take the listener on a journey. You don't want to be just full blast the whole time. You want the ups and downs and the breaks and things like that. So I try to create, on the artistic side, a journey, just flow in the dark, get your attention, a really nice verse. I always like a break that almost has nothing to do with the rest of the song, but still melodic and still belongs there. I have the same formula for what I do, and there's some specific purposes for that.
Ooh, we'll have to talk about that sometime offline, because that's interesting that you say that you use a little the same type of formula, because I'm all over the place. I actually do not like to stick to a specific song structure or key or even type of rhythm. I'm usually all over the place and kind of tend to just go with the flow, so to speak.
Sure.
I take that back, because I actually do love writing ballads. So I guess you could say, if anything, I would mimic how I write ballads, but that's unique. So you and I are going to have to talk offline about your little structure and how you create your songs, because that sounds interesting.
I just think we're all creative. We get there a different way, and if we were all doing it the same way, I think it would be boring.
Yes, it definitely would be boring, and that is one of the reasons that I've had this conversation with a couple of different people. I could never be a Nashville writer, because everything is so cookie cutter and everything is so strict, and got to have this many bars, and it has to start this way, and you've got to have a hook here, and so on and so forth. It's too structured for me.
I agree.
I just like to go all over the place, and I think some of my best songs are because I went all over the place. But anyway, it is what it is, right?
Sure. Like I said, we all get there.
We all get there, yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to get there with a short break from a word from one of our partners in podcasting, as we call them. This is Chatting with Nat, and we'll be right back on Mixing It with Nicki Kris here on Sim Radio.
Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.
And we are back on Mixing It with Nicki Kris on the Sim Radio Network. And my guest, the multi-talented composer, musician, and producer, Kitt Wakeley. What is something that has been a challenge for you being in the music industry?
I think just you always second guess, am I good enough maybe? You do your art and you hope that someone just gets that, you see that natural body language or facial expression when they hear your music or whatever it might be. That's one of them. Being insecure about whether I'm good enough, I think, has always been, me personally, the biggest struggle.
Well, I'm going to tell you certainly are good enough. I mean, I know I'm a friend, but coming from a friend, you are certainly good enough. And I know from feedback that I have received from various individuals that have seen you perform live and just listening to your music. Even some of the things like I've been going through and listening to submissions for a project that we're doing. Kitt, you're good enough. You're good enough. I know hearing people say that hopefully will help you build confidence, and you are. You definitely are. And it's so humble of you. It's just very, I know that you're a very humble person. And it's just extremely humbling to hear. I know that you do struggle sometimes with like anxiety and things like that. And you are good enough. But I also understand too, because I do it myself. I do the am I good enough question as well. But I'm telling you are.
For you right back, Nikki. I've been there when you do it live and you belt it out.
Oh, yes. I know. I need to learn how to control that a little bit better because I certainly don't need the microphone.
Oh, I thought it was, honestly, we walked away going, wow, she can do it live, not just on the recording. So, yeah, I think
thank
we all
you.
thought that.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to get into a little bit non-musical chat because I know that you probably have tons of things that keep you busy outside of music. But are there certain hobbies or certain things that you like to do apart from writing music?
Exercise, just being healthy, I think consumes a lot of our, if you will, in the nature of hobby. And then, of course, I think we've talked about it before. We've recently, it's been a year already. We brought in 3 little ones for adoption. And so that has that's turned our world completely upside down because it's such a commitment.
Yes, it is a commitment. And I know that the 3 little ones that you brought in make 7. So what is what is the significance of the number 7 to you? Because I do know it has several meanings to you.
Yeah, it does. First of all, it's a true story because I don't really drink much alcohol, that is. It took me 7 beers to get enough nerve to talk to my current wife. And it is also the number of perfection in the Bible. So I like to make sure that she knows that. And then, yes, with 3 more kiddos, we now have 7 kids. So, yeah, it seems to be a common thing.
Lucky number 7, I will say. Definitely lucky.
Yeah.
So here's hoping that we do 7 number 1 Billboard singles. How about that?
Yeah, I'll take it. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. So I'd like to play another song off the new album. Tell us about Echoes of Amadeus.
Oh, wow. First of all, it was hard to come up with a title because if you listen to the beginning, just the way I structured the brass and things like that, it's very much a Beethoven feel. I'm a fan of Chopin because he likes that minor dark feel. And then, Amadeus. And Amadeus is big about all those arpeggiations. And basically, I feel like Amadeus turned a violin into a rock star type of instrument. I mean, that was the electric guitar of that time, and he just brought it to life. So that's what I did with this one. There was one other reason we call it to the song Side by Side. If you listen to Rock Me Amadeus, it's got the same vibe. I wanted to capture that vibe, and so there's several elements. So that's how we got to Echoes of Amadeus.
Well, I just listened to this again before we hopped on our little chat, and it's another one of my favorites. So we're going to play it for everyone. This is Echoes of Amadeus off the Symphony of Sinners and Saints album by Kitt Wakeley. Love it. To me, it's movie soundtrack material. So I'm hoping that people listening are like, yes, this needs to be in a movie. It's like all of your songs could be in a movie or video game, anything like that. I get that vibe from the compositions. Like this particular album in particular encompasses to me pure film composition to where I wouldn't be surprised to see or hear multiple tracks in, epic films. So hopefully that'll happen for you if it hasn't already, because
you get that feedback a lot. And I'm really hoping that once this current chapter of the album kind of comes to a close, we'll start using its resume to start shopping for licensing.
I definitely think that should be an avenue for you. So I'm glad to hear that you'll be doing that. But yeah, it's always good to let the first stage of the album kind of go and then sit and focus on that, because working and trying to get syncs and things like that is time consuming. I'm sure you know. It's very time consuming to get those things, because you always they're always looking for that right fit. But I have no doubt that you're going to get something. Even car commercials. Car commercials nowadays have these, big epic productions. I could see several of these songs in like car commercials. Yeah.
How'd you say that? I did actually, 5-6 years ago. And
oh, really?
I was like, okay. Yeah, we did it. Man, it's been, wow, all the way back in 2014. So, yeah. I would have never remembered that if you hadn't said that.
See, my head is thinking for you. I'm thinking today. I'm thinking.
You're on fire.
So what's next for you, Kitt? Upcoming concerts, shows, events. What's on the docket?
We had our first show last weekend, and the biggest purpose of that concert was really for video purposes, so we could shop it to other venues, orchestras, and things like that. And we've already gotten a ton of feedback. The problem is with production like this, when they only let you have 25, 35% occupancy, we're going to lose money. So I'm really pleased with the number of venues that truly want the show. We just have to figure out how we're going to navigate being able to cover the cost. And then we have some other venues we're going to start playing where maybe 300, 400 people can come and just do modified versions. The band is so animated and so entertaining. We just need a few lights and some video to still entertain the audience.
And I know one of those venues is Carnegie Hall in New York.
Yes. Again, we won't be able to bring the whole rig, but we'll still bring enough for there to be some eye candy. And I can't stress enough, when you have our primary string players dancing across stage, and they're just beautiful ladies, and they wear awesome costumes. And then our guitarist, he just lights the whole place on fire. He's just electrifying. And girls, they all like him, so he's a nice addition for you guys. And then the bass, it's very good at the instruments, and they can entertain. So I'm, in a way, looking forward to Carnegie because people will see just the raw, they'll experience more of the music than they will the show, if you will.
Oh, great. Well, I'm glad that I'm saving my viewing of the event for Carnegie. So make sure that you save me a ticket, because I have a feeling it's going to sell out.
Yep. I think you're one of the VIPs in this group for sure.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I am going to sneak in one more song. And I'm going to be a little bit selfish about the one that I sneak in, because I would like to share the song that the two of us did together with everyone, because I think it goes to show your flexibility, your versatility, and your willingness to collaborate with other musicians and other songwriters. And I want to showcase that because there are a lot of people that I know that aren't willing to allow other songwriters, composers, or even vocalists to take one of their songs and almost convert it and create an entirely new version. so to speak, which is what we did with St. Christopher's Journey, which was the original version of the song. And then us working together, we now created Is This Love? But I wanted to play that for everyone because I did think it was important to show your versatility, because I actually just recently asked someone else who had a instrumental, hey, can I put a top line on this? And they weren't so open to it, which is fine. But, I don't think they really understood the whole concept of, this is still going to be your song, but we're just going to create something new, and how much opportunity there is for that potential to put different music in, just using some of the same components. So I do want to share our song because
that's unfortunate. Because what you brought to Christopher's Journey was awesome. But it can bring, when you let someone else of your caliber come in, and it brings that depth and more color and just a totally different fingerprint. I think anyone who says no is really cheating themselves.
Oh, thank you. You're too sweet. I appreciate that.
I see it.
I appreciate that. All right, now that I've got the blushing going. So with that, I'm going to play Is This Love? So it is by Moi featuring the awesome Kitt Wakeley. Here it is.
I need some time to think. You and I don't really know how I feel. All I know, don't wanna say goodbye. I feel this weight on me, like I've walked 1,000 miles. With one look, now it's gone, erased with just a smile. I've been hurt before, don't wanna feel that way again. You pulled me in, and I'm not lonely anymore. Is this love? Is this how I feel? Is this love? Is this for real? Each step I take, the hole in my heart begins to fade. Like a candle in the dark, you brought the light back to my heart. Time to live in the moment. Why should I run away? This could be my second chance. I'm nervous like it's my first kiss, but I've been hurt before. I don't wanna feel that way again. But you pulled me in, and I'm not lonely anymore. Standing at the top of the mountain, it's just one more step. Can I let go
love. And we have a live, we were nominated for a Josie Music Award for that song. So yay. Congrats, Kitt. Awesomeness.
Great.
Awesomeness. And I think you were also nominated recently for some Josie Music Awards, correct? Producer, I believe, maybe instrumentalist as well?
Yes, I was actually surprised to see that. I was really glad. Really glad. I just love them. They're great people.
Yes, they are. And I know that I do believe, I know I'm definitely going, and I think you are going to be going to the awards show again as well. So we will both be in Pigeon Forge later on this year. So if folks are around, say hi. But for now, before we close out the show, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners? How about where they can find you on social media?
Everything as far as social media is centered around my name, Kitt Wakeley, KittWakeley.com, at Kitt Wakeley for Instagram. It's a pretty easy search on Facebook, etc. So that's where most of my social media, and of course, if you're wanting to listen, I always embrace people who go to Spotify or iTunes or anything like that. So blessed to have so many outlets for people to be able to find me.
Excellent. And it's Kitt, K-I-T-T, Wakeley, W-A-K-E-L-E-Y, in case you were wondering about the spelling. So with that, Kitt, I want to thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time to chat with me. I know you are a busy person, and it's really been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more and to talk about the album. So thank you for your time. Early Happy Father's Day. Enjoy those 3 new little babies or young children, because they're not really babies at the moment. They're a little bit older. So enjoy your 3 younger kiddos and the 4 older ones. So thank you. And thanks for everyone for tuning in, for mixing it. On behalf of everyone at Sim Radio, this is Nicki Kris. Until next time, keep on mixing it.